Welcome back to another mini episode of my podcast, the Authentic Man podcast. A part of these episodes is easily digestible ideas that I often explore in the longer episodes. You can just jump into if it's something that is important for you. So today we're going to talk about self-leadership, and actually more about how we get stuck feeling hopeless and lost, because this is something I see with a lot of men, also in my own life, getting stuck sometimes and feeling super hopeless and lost and not leading myself out of it, not knowing how to. And the thing is, if one of the things I observe in myself is this, and I see in my clients as well, is this kind of waiting for circumstances to change so that everything will change. It's kind of like going, say you're dating, for instance, and you're not really creating the dates that you want. They're not interesting. They're not connected. They're not fun. They're not alive. There's no passion. There's no sexual tension. And just going, it must be the women. Like when different women come along, then it's going to be okay. And this sort of attitude of waiting for the circumstance outside of us to change, to have a different internal experience, is the wrong way around. We have to work on our internal experience to change our external experience. This is living inside out. That is the way that life really works powerfully. But some of the reasons why we get stuck feeling lost and hopeless lost, hopeless, and just like we can't make change in life, like we can't move forward, we can't change certain aspects of our lives, is, one of the things is we get stuck in fear, right? And fear can masquerade itself in many different ways. Sometimes fear appears as very obvious, we're afraid of something, and then sometimes we have an apathy to something, or we just think we don't want to do it, or we tell ourselves that thing isn't good for us. That might be, if you're in a relationship, it might be expressing more love. You're like, it's not going to make any difference. My girlfriend just complains all the time anyway. But actually there's a fear there around expressing more love. Or it might be looking for a new career because your career doesn't bring you joy. Allowing our fears to dictate our lives holds us back. Ultimately it holds us back. Another thing I see with men a lot is this craving of comfort, wanting ease. Wanting everything to be easy, work to be easy, the relationship to be easy, the sleep to be easy, the gym to be easy. And unfortunately, things are not easy, right? And then this also leads to avoiding difficulty. Like maybe it's meditation that's difficult for you, so you just don't do it. It's like, I'm not doing it, it's difficult. Or going for a run. Like I don't really enjoy running, but I run usually twice a week, partly because I don't enjoy it and it's good exercise. There's this thing around avoiding difficulty. It can be difficult conversations. It could be conflict in your relationship. It could be conflict in your workplace or with your family. There's all these different ways in which we're avoiding doing the difficult thing that keep us stuck. Another one I see is blaming others, blaming women, the government, our families for our problems and challenges. Like, if they change, everything's going to be better for me. Again, it's expecting the outside world to change to shift our internal experience. Head in the sand is another one I see a lot. Putting our head in the sand and pretending that the challenges they aren't there. Like, no, it's not my problem. Like, my dates aren't going well. It's the people. It's not anything to do with me and how I'm showing up. This is a very, very great way to stay stuck and not be moving and have inertia in your life, is to be putting your head in the sand. Another one I see is expecting someone to come and save us, looking for someone outside of us to save us, to come along like a knight in shining armor to make everything different, everything better. That can be a guru sometimes. I even get this with clients who come to me expecting that, I'm going to tell them everything they need to do and make their lives better. And that is quickly shifted into me helping them see what they need to do to make their lives better. It's expecting that someone else can change our lives for us. Sometimes as men, we often are looking for a woman to come into our lives and do that for us. Another way we stay stuck is we are really acting from our wounding, our trauma, and our general dysfunction and dysfunctional patterns. I've been here, and you're always going to be cycling in and out of this in your life. But when we get really stuck in this, it's like we see everything as a threat, or we see everything as dangerous, or, whatever your kind of pattern is. Mine is often of avoidance or restricted, being my freedom being restricted. it's just really important for us to start to see these are the things that get us stuck. Another one, and this might seem obvious here, is avoiding leadership, is avoiding action taking. These for me are one and the same. Leadership is taking action is part of leadership. Our self-leadership is avoiding this, avoiding taking action and just sitting in our habitual patterns and doing the things that we've always done because it's nice and easy, right? That's a definite way in which we get really stuck, like in our lives. And you might be able to look at your lives now and see that these things are really damaging your life. They're really holding you back. They're stopping you from having the relationship you want. They're stopping you from having the career, the level of peace of mind and ease and happiness. And maybe it's stopping you from living where you want to. I record this podcast from my place, living in Portugal. These things can keep us stuck in relationships we're unhappy with, dating lives we're unhappy with, jobs we're unhappy with, careers we're unhappy with, marriages we're unhappy with, right? Because we just get stuck. We put our head in the sand, we blame others, we seek comfort, we get trapped in our wounding, right? But we do have the power to get out of this. So, how do we develop self-leadership, right? We have to start to learn to understand the real things that are holding us back, really delving into the mind and understanding how our mind works. Some of this work can be done alone. I'm a big fan, reading books and so forth can be great, and podcasts and all that jazz. But some of this work cannot be done alone because there's only so much that your own mind will allow you to see your mind. It's much easier for us to see patterns in other people than it is ourselves. I'm sure you can look at some of your friends and family, you can see their dysfunctional patterns. It's just obvious to you, right? Or your partner, but you can't see your own. This is just the nature of human beings, right? The same with our dysfunctional beliefs. We can't always see it because we're trying to look at the problem of our mind from within the construct of our mind. Another thing that really helps with our self-leadership is feeling more, getting more connected to our body sensations and feelings and emotions, right? Knowing what we're scared of, knowing why we're scared of those things, where fear arises, where it's completely irrational fear. And those little subtle emotions of joy and happiness as well, or even bigger sense of elation and joy, are also really important because they start to give us an idea of like what we really love, what we feel really drawn to. A lot of men I work with that come to work with me are very stunted in the emotional capacity place, and they're unsure of their feelings. It means they're often following by someone else's playbook in life. They're doing jobs because their parents want them to be doctors or lawyers or bankers or whatever it may be. But they have a calling for something different. And when they start to feel more and express more and be in their own bodies more, they start to learn what they want to do with themselves. The next thing is really important to develop is presence and groundedness, right? If we're not able to be present and grounded in the awareness of now, and we're emotionally dysregulated, making good decisions and choices is going to be really difficult for you. It's very difficult to make a good choice when your mind isn't clear, when you don't feel balanced, you don't feel present. This is the overthinking. If any of you are overthinkers, you realize it's very hard to make good decisions when you're overthinking because you've got all this information, fear and worry rolling around. So learning practices and doing practices that can develop groundedness and presence and stillness and awareness are so important to our everyday life, whether that is having discussions with a partner that can be slightly triggering, being in an office with people, doing a job or running our businesses, right? Where we're confronting our own ego constructs continuously. When we're able to do those things from a grounded place, we're just putting ourselves on a path of success, a path of connection as well. Another part of self-leadership for me is taking responsibility. It's so important for us to take responsibility of our lives. It's a game changer, this for me. Whenever I work with clients and we start to put the personal responsibility on them, they start to see the power that they have to change what's happening. Taking responsibility can be difficult because we also have to, when things don't go our way, we also have to look at ourselves and not point the finger at other people. But it also gives us the power to make changes and direct our life in the way that is meaningful and important to us. So these are some snippets, right? These are little snippets of what I see as super important things for self-leadership, getting unstuck. Now, these are things that I will be included in my program that's coming up It's running from September. It's a 12-week program that I shifted. It's for my 8-week program I ran earlier this year. I've made it longer. It's about the same amount of content, actually. It's just a bit more space because I really acknowledge it's really nice to have some space to learn. I've already taken through 2 cohorts of men through this program who have given the most incredible feedback and testimonials, right? It really has been life-changing for men to come together in a group of men and learn with other men with the intention of being better men, of holding each other accountable, of seeing better in other men in the group. You know, the group that I first ran it with last year, there's the WhatsApp group that I create for them is still going. They still ask each other for support sometimes. Support is given. There's a lot of love and kindness that's expressed in there. You know, the men have really created a bond. This is a sort of program where you may never have been in a group of men like this before and connected with men in this way, right? Plus, I'm there. I'm there to guide you, to help you find more personal power, confidence, self-esteem, self-expression, and freedom, right? From the things that are holding you back, a lot of the stuff that I talked about earlier that keeps you stuck. And we'll be covering a lot of topics, but really the biggest power of the group program, it's actually just being in a container with other men, being in a group of other men and all being there, being led, coming from your hearts, caring for each other in a way of betterment. Because, you know, tell me how many places in your life that men come together, right, to be better men, not to mock and joke around with each other, but actually to be more conscious, be more aware and be better men. So inside the program, I cover things like sexuality, relationship leadership, dating leadership, creating presence in any moment. That's incredibly important, as I mentioned earlier. Powerful communication tools so that you can be understood, you can understand and be felt and feel others, like the depth of what's going on for them when they're talking to you, right? As well as I cover a lot of stuff about creating goals and finding purpose and so forth. There's so much in there. As well as I ran some breath work in there to really delve into your unconscious and start to release some of those things that are really holding you back. That's the program, right? It's epic, right? So it's going to be starting in September. The earlier you sign up, the cheaper it is for you. Simple as that. The earlier you sign up, the cheaper it is. So the longer you leave it, the more expensive it gets. I'm going to include a link down below, some of the more the details. If you just email me, we can get on a call and, you know, try and get you signed up if you're a good fit for the program. But enough of that. Thank you. Lead yourself. Get yourself unstuck. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Happy to help. And until later on, ciao, ciao.